Yeah,
Sean,
our boy Sean Strickland, my favorite UFC fighter of all time, I think now.
My favorite too, and you can trust me because I have no favorites. That guy is the funniest fucking dude to have ever come across my feed in the context of UFC. He's hysterical.
Would you like to learn some Chinese?
Let's do it.
Ni hao.
What was that? Wait, what am I saying? What am I saying?
Hello.
Meow. I feel like I should already start. How do I say work harder, child? So when I start my clothing company and I open up a couple sweatshops, how do I get to the meat and potatoes of work harder? No food for you till you finish.
Oh man, no, if I kill someone in the ring, I'd fucking make me very happy.
All right, next question. Do you believe fat shaming is okay if the person you're fat shaming is someone you love?
I think fat shaming is always okay. There's nothing worse than being next to a fat, smelly motherfucker. And the most human thing you could do is telling a fat, smelly motherfucker to put down the fork.
He is in negotiations to fight the black guy we saw a minute ago with Zuck in Australia on the coming up card.
Good for him.
He's trying. It's kind of gone back and forth. That Sean's so good on social media. At one point, he was like, they changed their mind. They say they don't want me. And everybody's like, no. And now they're back to the negotiation table again. Like it came back.
Yeah, smart man. Yeah. I was going to tell you, like, I heard they called it off, but I just kept listening. I was like, there's a good chance Kyle knows more than me.
Yes. I would love to get Sean Strickland over there. Sean is real outspoken to the point of like verbal diarrhea, just run off the mat. He doesn't have a filter. His social media.
Let's get Sean on the show.
Wild.
Everybody tweet at Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
See if we can
Sean,
get
just
him.
go. Sean, see this clip. This is why Sean Strickland's a badass. There's a lot of these dudes who are martial artists. Sean Strickland's still a fucking tough guy, if you ask me. That's how I define Sean Strickland. I see him in traffic on his social media recording while he's calling people out in traffic. You want to handle this like a man? You want to pull over? No guns, no knives? You want to go? And the guy's like, guns? He's like, no guns. Don't shoot. Do you want to throw down? No guns, no knives. And then a woman, he's having an argument with her. You got a husband or a son that can come out here and stand for you? Someone whose ass I could whoop, lady. Like, he's so wild.
Just beating the shit out of a 7-year-old at Whole Foods.
Yeah. Get that kid out of the basket. You like lift him out.
Your son's a pussy. And it's like, he's 8.
I threw him against the wall and his skull cracked. What a fucking pussy.
I fought this pussy's son, and it's like she was 24.
Yeah.
Like, of course.
I'm not saying that the world will be a better place with more of me, but you guys need to get hit by your dads a little bit more. Not even hit, not discipline. You guys don't need to be like, I didn't take out the trash, hit. You guys need to get like an alcoholic rage beating, and then you'll start fucking learning how to have, nuts.
The UFC's really good right now, in my opinion. I think it's not always good. I'll be honest. The women's fight, that's about to go away. Dana's about to start deleting fucking divisions over there with the ladies. But the men, there's this big pile up at the top in multiple divisions. It's fun to see. And then the divisions that were kind of piled up, starting to get a little slack, and things are starting to move forward. You're about to see Yair Rodriguez fight Alexander Volkanovski. There's a lot of good fights coming up, and a lot of divisions are going to change. And they got to figure out what they're going to do with Makhachev and Volkanovski. It's I don't know. I've been loving it lately. And seeing Derek Lewis, the fucking Black Beast, who was on a 3-fight skid, about to get cut from the UFC on his last contracted fight. Like, he can walk out the door free agent. There's more to it than that, but essentially comes across the ring with a flying. First of all, he shows up with a virtual 6-pack. He kept calling it a 6-pack. It's not what I call a 6-pack, but he's a 270-pound man, so it was close enough. But he came across the ring with a flying switch knee and hits the guy so cleanly in the middle of his chin. It was beautiful. And then finished the guy in, call it 30 more seconds. So what I think could happen there, Woody, is fantastic. He's a free agent. He could go PFL. You know who's beaten Francis Ngannou? The Black Beast, Derek Lewis. So you could just roll it back and do it again. Like
I love how nerdy you guys are for this, because it's something I'm not into at all, but I respect it as a nerd of many things. I respect how you guys are just like, can you imagine this fight? Because that's how I am with wrestling. I think of pro wrestling. I'm just like, oh my god, like we're gonna get, like
I like that we find out who's the tougher guy.
Yeah.
I can get down with wrestling to some extent. I'm more like the clips of wrestling and the highlights, and I like the 30 for 30 from the famous guys. Flair's a legend, all that shit. But I like that. Like, we could sit here all day and talk about Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, or we could talk about this race car driver from this era versus that one. But with the UFC, if we're talking about the best fighters in the world right now, hand-to-hand combat, they're there right now and they're competing. And every now and then they throw two of the absolute best as far as anyone's eyes can tell. And they make them fight in a cage for 25 fucking minutes. And it's crazy that happens.
Yeah.
And we find out who's the better guy.
That's the best part about the UFC. Dana makes the fights that you want to see. As much as he possibly can, he tries to make that happen. In boxing, like you want to see Pacquiao Mayweather, and I know we got the ghost of Pacquiao versus the ghost of Mayweather, but those two fighters in their prime never met.
Incredible.
Dodged each other forever. Right now, Tyson Fury has a legitimate contender. I forget the guy's name, but Tyson Fury's hardest fight ever was against a small guy who was just a better boxer, knocked Tyson on his ass. And there's another guy who looks like him, but more skilled. I wish I was better with names. And who's he fighting? A safe fight in Ngannou. It's a money fight. It's an easy day for Tyson Fury. And you boxers don't often fight the other best boxer. That fight doesn't happen. In the UFC, you've got Dana telling who's allowed to fight who, and they just match them together. And you get Gaethje versus Poirier for the bad motherfucker belt. You get these champions fighting the toughest guy, the second toughest guy on earth. It'll happen. And if it's close, they make them fight twice in a row. I just feel like other sports,
they'll make them fight 3 fucking times. And I saw Strickland talking about this, about the money situation and why you don't have as many UFC champions and as many US fighters in the UFC. And he's like, they go find these guys in Brazil and Russia. Like these guys where a nice house costs $200,000, and they give these guys 10 and 10 to show, 10 more thousand to win, and they'll sign them on a 4-fight deal and they'll cut them after 3. They walk away with their $30,000 to $60,000 and their life is set. That's what you're competing against, Americans. So you're going to see a lot of tough fucking Dagestanis. You're going to see the most ruthless Brazilians because that's all they need. They'll fight. They'll spend their entire childhood to win 3 fucking fights when they're 20 because it'll make their fucking life almost if they're from those poor ass places of the country. And they don't mind shedding blood.
If the fighter doesn't speak English, I'm less interested.
Oh, for sure, man. If you want a superstar, he's got to be slick with it. He's got to be a Colby Covington. Look, there's a reason Ric Flair is my favorite fucking UFC fighter. And The Rock is probably my second. They were slick on the microphone and funny. And they had catchphrases and cool moves. The people's elbow. We all know what the people's elbow is. I mean, is
that Stone Cold? I don't know the people's elbow.
That's The Rock.
That's The Rock.
We all don't know what most of us know what the...
Yes, those of us who are educated in wrestling.
Actually, Zach brings up a great point.